Hi music makers, it's Miss Riggins. Today I want to talk about the D major scale and how to play it on the violin. So to get us started, I've written out a D major scale using accidentals on the staff, but I also want to write in the notes of the D major scale and the fingers and strings that we use to play the D major scale. So to get started, we have a D, an E, then we have an F with a sharp in front of it, so F sharp and not F natural. Then we have G, A, B, C with a sharp in front of it, C sharp, and then a D. Write that. Great. So now that I know what the notes are, I want to figure out what fingers do we use to play this. So I know that the first note of D major scale on the violin, we play with our open D string. So I'm going to write a D with a 0 next to it. So I know that I'm on the D string, but I'm not using any fingers yet. Then we place down our first finger on the D string. Then we have our second finger on the D string. And right next to it, to play a G, we have our third finger. And then we have an A, and we can play this with an open A, or we can play it with our fourth finger on the D string. For now, I'd like to play with an open A. So we have an A with no fingers. To play a B, we have our first finger on the A string, then our second finger on the A string for a C sharp, and finally on the A string, we have our third finger for a D natural. So I'm going to pluck this out very quickly, and I want you to pay attention to the relationship between my fingers. So as I'm playing, are my fingers super far away from each other? Are they touching each other? Which notes are closer together and which ones are further apart? So to get started, we have an open D, first finger on the D string, second finger on the D string, third finger, open A, first finger, second finger, third finger. So if I stop right here, we can see that my first and second finger have space between it, but my second and third finger don't. This is a really good visualization of what a whole step and a half step is. So whole steps and half steps just relate to the distance between two notes that are next to each other. So we have half steps, which on the violin are when our fingers are touching. And then we have whole steps, which we can see on the violin is when our fingers are further away from each other. So we just saw there that when I am on the A string, we have our first finger and second finger down, and there's space between them, so that's a whole step. But then my second and third finger were touching each other, so we can say that that is a half step. And knowing where your whole steps and half steps are really helpful for playing a scale in tune. So let's figure out if there are any more half steps in this D major scale. So we have our open D, first finger, second finger. Is that a whole step or a half step? There's space between fingers 1 and 2, so that is a whole step. And then my third finger. And right there we have another half step because my second and third finger are touching each other. There's no visible space between those two fingers. So between F sharp and G, which is our second and third finger on the D string, we have another half step. So now that we've kind of analyzed this D major scale a little bit, let's play it. Okay, so we have our D major scale in front of us. We have the notes of the D major scale written above the staff. On the staff, we've written in our half steps. There are 2 between F sharp and G, and C sharp and D. And then below, we have the fingers and the strings used to play the scale. So if you have your violin at home, go ahead and grab it and we'll play this together. If you don't have your violin at home, I still encourage you to watch the rest of this video, and maybe you can pretend your arm is the violin and you can play open D, first finger on D, second finger, third finger, and you can still practice your whole steps and half steps with your fingers touching or further apart. You can say the notes as we're playing them, anything you want. So first, let's play this D major scale as quarter notes. Ready, 1, 2, ready, go. Great, now let's work our way back down. So an important thing to remember is that our whole steps and half steps stay the same whether we're going up and down. So on the way down, our second and third finger on the A string are still going to touch, and on the D string, our second and third finger are still going to be very close to each other. So let's work our way down, starting on the high D, still as quarter notes. Ready, 1, 2, ready, go. Awesome, so just for fun, let's play this with the pepperoni pizza rhythm. So pepperoni pizza, and we'll go up and down without stopping. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Awesome, so I totally encourage you to practice the D major scale at home. If you start to feel more comfortable with it, you can start writing your own rhythm. So you can practice it as quarter notes, you can practice it as the pepperoni pizza rhythm, you could do the whole thing in eighth notes, whatever you want to do. And if you're feeling super confident with the D major scale, you can take this open A and you can start practicing it using your fourth finger on the D string. So if you have any questions on the D major scale or whole steps or half steps or anything else, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.